up, you guys? It's your girl Angela with the Aspiring Boss. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new here. Do y'all know what time it is? It is interview time, okay? It is interview season. OCI, callbacks, summer associateships, internships. You guys are interviewing for those positions at law firms and other legal positions. So I thought it was a great idea for me to do a video on how to secure that job, okay? I have been on both sides of the coin. Now that I am the practicing attorney at a law firm, I do a lot of interviewing. I interview a lot of people. So I have an experience on what we look for. But most importantly, I have been the interviewee who has secured the jobs, y'all. That's one thing I know how to do, is secure a job. So I am going to go ahead and give you guys my tips, tricks, advice on how to secure that law firm job when you're interviewing, guys, because it's so important. So let me give you guys a little bit of background. So I summered at law firms, both my 1L and 2L year. My 1L firm that I summered at, I then went back again, my 2L year summered there, and then summered at another top law firm in Houston, Texas. My first job as an attorney was with the firm that I summered at my 1L year. That's crazy, right? A lot of times where you summer at will be your first job if you're lucky, and you will get that job way before graduation time, which, hello, that is a blessing. So I have a lot of experience with that. One of my strong points is interviewing. I just do really well in interviews, particularly law firm interviews. So I want to go ahead and give you guys the keys to secure that job. So let's jump right in. Let's get into the interview process. So like I said, my experience has been with securing jobs at law firms, particularly large firms. Okay, so let's talk about the interview process. So when you interview with a law firm, you're likely going to meet with a minimum of 4 attorneys, okay? The firm's HR person will give you, a schedule of who you're interviewing with, what times. You will know everything about the people that you are going to interview with. The interview process can be long, you guys, especially because, like I said, usually it's a minimum of 4, but sometimes it's 6, because sometimes they will take you to lunch. They'll have a couple associates take you to lunch so you can ask questions. They can get to know you a little bit better in a more relaxed setting. So it can be kind of an intense process in that sense of just being kind of long. So be prepared to be talking all day, okay? One thing I really like about the law firm interviews, from my experience, is they aren't very rigid, okay? They're very conversational. They just aren't like, tell me about the last time that you had a conflict at work. From my experience, they just really don't work like that. And you can use that to your advantage, okay? So my first tip is to be yourself and show your personality. Guys, if you got the interview at the firm, they already know you're capable, okay? Your grades, your resume, all of that speaks for itself. It got you in the door, okay? They already know that you're qualified. From my experience, they already know that you're qualified. The interview is just to make sure that you're a normal, cool person that they will want to work with. That sounds crazy, right? This is a prestigious law firm, blah, 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 blah. But like I said, you already got in the door. They don't interview people who aren't qualified. You wouldn't even make it that far. So you have to secure that job by being personable, okay? Show your personality, be likable, be willing to laugh and make jokes. And still keep it professional, but just be yourself. Because at this point, it's all about making sure that you kind of fit with the culture, that they would want to work with you. As a lawyer, you're going to work very, very intense hours, right? You're going to work with these people. So they just want to make sure, if I'm stressed out and I'm working at 2 a.m., can I work with this person? Are they cool enough to work with? Are they going to get on my nerves? Are they going to be jerks? So just showing that you're just somebody that somebody will want to work with. It's not that deep. I promise you, it's not that deep. I know that sounds crazy, but it's not that deep. That's really all you're looking for. Because like I said, your credentials, they already know those. Those got you in the door. You wouldn't even be interviewing if you didn't have the credentials. That honestly is one of the most important pieces of advice that I had. And I remember going into my first interview, you guys, I was ready, okay? I was prepared. And all we ended up talking about was Texas football. Texas football and what it was like to grow up in El Paso with mountains. It was really literally that chill. And I got an offer from that firm. Like, so it's not like, you know, they were like, oh, this girl's not smart, let's just get through this interview. Like, no, I got an offer. And we didn't talk about anything related to my academics because they already knew. I think at that point I was like top 2%. So they already knew I had the credentials. They just wanted to see if I was cool and whether I would seem like a good fit with the firm. Next tip, do research on the firm. You should know what the firm does. Don't go into a firm that focuses on, you know, employment law and litigation and talk about you want to be a corporate transactional attorney. Like, they don't do that. So why would they give you an interview there? So know what the firm does, know what their practice areas are, know their strong points, know things about the firms, maybe the things that they participate in. And that's an easy Google search. Go to the firm's website, poke around, do some research, you guys. It's easy, but know what the firm is about, because you don't want to make the mistake of saying, oh, yeah, I want to practice toxic tort. And they don't even do toxic tort. Or, for example, people will say, I want to be a criminal lawyer. Well, big law firms don't do criminal law. Very seldom will you find a big law firm that does criminal law. And if they do, it's white collar crime. So know what the firm offers so you don't, you know, put your foot in your mouth. Okay, this next one is huge. Okay, this is how you make those connections in the interviews. Do research on the person who's going to be interviewing you. Okay, like I said, they give you a schedule. They give you the names of every person that you're going to interview with. Look up that person, see what school they went to, see what sorority or fraternity they're in, see what they're involved in. You guys, the information is there. Just go for it. And people will be impressed when you can connect them, because that means you've done your research. People like that. People like to talk about themselves. People like to talk about their interests. Like I said, one interview we spent talking about Texas football. So for example, the attorney was interviewing me and I saw that he went to UT, and UT at the time was doing really well in football. I went to Texas State, which is not far from UT. I was in Austin all the time. 36th Street was my home, okay? I knew plenty of people that went to UT. We loved the UT football games. So what did I do in the interview? I saw you went to UT. Quite a season this year. Like, make a connection with them. And it doesn't have to be about sports, but that's an easy one to, you know, get people talking, because when people love their team, go Chiefs, you know, they want to talk about it. They get really excited about it. So just find something to connect with. If you guys went to the same law school, or if you guys went to the same undergrad, or you guys were in the same sorority, or you guys both like Habitat for Humanity, whatever it is, know what they're interested in, know the type of work they do, so you can talk about that. I had people who interview me, they see what type of work I do. They always ask, oh, how is this? What do you think about that? How did you get into that? Ask people a question and get them talking, especially when you're in the 1L space. These are just good ways to make that connection in OCI and get a callback, secure the callback, and get the offer. However, one caveat with that is be prepared for the lineup to switch, okay? Because like I said, you guys are being interviewed by busy attorneys. If a call comes up, if there's a client emergency, it is possible that an attorney will have to miss that interview, and so you'll get switched out with another person. But like, don't fret, but that is a possibility. So be aware, don't freak out, but that could happen. It's actually very likely because we are busy people. Okay, the next one is be prepared to talk about what's on your resume, okay? In my experience, we didn't do much talking about our resumes, but a lot of times attorneys will read your resume right before they come down for the interview. So they kind of just pick something to talk about and go with it. For example, on my resume, you know, mind y'all, I'm a little bit older than y'all, okay? I graduated from college in 2013 and started law school in 2013. On my resume, one of my interests was Pinterest. I was really into Pinterest back then. Some of the people interviewing me did not even know what that was. So that would stick out to them. And they would always ask me, oh, what's Pinterest? What's that? Whatever. Then we get to talking about Pinterest. And again, it was very conversational. They were intrigued by me and we were just having a cool conversation. But be prepared to talk about whatever is on your resume. So if you say that you speak French, be prepared to say, voulez-vous coucher avec moi, okay? Because they're going to ask you, okay? Like, be prepared to talk about it. Do not have anything on your resume that you have not prepared to talk about, because that could be bad. Okay, the next tip is interview the firm as well. This is your opportunity to see if this is where you want to work. You have options, okay? Especially if your grades are good. So this is the time to ask the firm questions and see if they're the right fit as well. One thing about law firm interviews is they're going to send the coolest, nicest, you know, most personal people. They're going to send their best of the best. So if you go in the interview and somebody's weird and mean and rude, you guys, it's probably not getting better behind those doors, okay? It's probably not better on those upper floors. because they send people who make the firm look good. They're gonna send the best of the best people. So take that time to see if this is even a place that you would want to work at. And if you do have the opportunity to go to lunch with a few associates, that's a good time to ask those associate questions as well. Don't get too comfortable though. Like, it's still an interview, but ask questions. That's fine. That's a good thing to do. And just make sure you think the firm is a good fit for you as well, because this could possibly be where you work at, like where you started your career at. So you want it to be somewhere where you like. Okay, the next tip goes without saying, but I'll go ahead and say it. Look presentable. Even if you're on Zoom. I know we're in this pandemic era where people are doing Zoom interviews. Still look good. Still look your best. Look professional, you guys. You have to play the part, okay? I know I get on here and I'm not wearing a suit and I'm not wearing a jacket and I'm in my lounge clothes, so I'm working from home. But you guys, when you're in that interview stage, when you're in, in a professional setting, you need to look professional. And if you don't have professional clothes, it's probably not a bad idea to invest in some, and you can get affordable clothes. One thing I like to do when I was in law school and, didn't have very much money is go to places like Ross, TJ Maxx, Marshalls. You can find nice kind of suit jackets and suit skirts and things like that. So yeah, make sure you are dressed presentable and professional in these interviews, guys. All right, the next question is be prepared for some of those questions that you would normally expect to get in an interview, okay? Because like I said, most of my experience has been very conversational. It's just been kind of go with the flow, but there are people who do like to ask those questions in law firms, okay? There are those people who do like to ask those questions. It very much depends on the person who's doing the interviewing, the interviewer. Be prepared to answer certain questions such as, why did you go to law school? Why do you want to be a lawyer? What's your favorite law school class? How was your 1L experience so far? Why do you want to live in this city? And this is a big one. If you, for example, like for me, if I had interviewed in the Midwest, even though I was going to school in Texas, I would most likely get the question of, why do you even want to work here? You're from Texas, your ties are in Texas, right? They do this because they want to filter out people who are actually serious. I mean, these jobs, these internships, you get paid, and you get paid nicely, if you're working at a big firm. So some people will just take the job because it's a summer job, knowing that they don't even want to practice there. And so they want to know, like, do you have ties here? Why do you want to be here? That's a question that I even had to answer when I was lateraling. And if you guys want a separate video about, how to answer those questions, like a detailed video, let me know in the comments and I'll go ahead and do one. But yes, you need to be prepared to answer those questions. All right, the next tip is always ask questions. At the end of the interview, or as you guys are wrapping up, they're gonna ask you if you have any questions. Always ask a question. Asking questions could really show your commitment to wanting to work at the firm and that you're really picturing yourself and thinking about yourself working there. So some questions you can ask is there a mentorship program? How is work distributed between associates? What are the opportunities for work? What practice areas is the firm looking to hire in? Ask the person about their own experience at the firm and why they like the firm. Like, ask questions, you guys. It's a good way to kind of keep the interview going, keep the interview flowing, and to show your interest and dedication to working for that firm. Okay, so my last tip is follow up after your interview, you guys. Always follow up, and sometimes people won't even respond. Always follow up after the interview and thanking the interviewer for taking the time to speak with you today, tell them you enjoyed it. Just leave that little mark of yourself on their minds, okay? Because what happens behind the scenes is, after they've interviewed you, they're going to go through some sort of rate process where they're asked about how the interview went, what they thought about you, and their recommendation to hire you. So make sure they remember you, because you might not be the only one that they've interviewed that day. And people talk about thank you notes and sending handwritten thank you notes. The only thing about handwritten thank you notes, now that I'm on the other side, is they take time to get there. So I personally think an email is best. I will go the email route so you can actually get to the attorney who interviewed you before they actually do your evaluation. But that's just my thought. One thing about these thank you notes, right? One thing you should do is you should make sure you reference something that you guys talked about in the interview, like, so they remember who you are, so they remember that connection that you guys made. So I talked about the UT thing. So when you're thank you note, you say, I really enjoyed talking with you about the firm, blah blah blah. Oh, and by the way, go Longhorns, or something along that line. Just something to reference back to something that you guys connected on. It could be anything. Or like for me, like I said, a lot of people used to ask me about Pinterest, right? So thanks so much for taking the time to interview with me, blah blah blah. I really enjoyed learning about the firm, blah blah blah. Oh, and don't forget to go in the App Store and download Pinterest so you can look for your wedding planning ideas, or whatever me and the person talked about. Anything to remind that person and drive home the fact that you guys made a connection over something. All right, you guys, so that's all I have for you guys today. I really hope this video was helpful. Let me know in the comments what your favorite tip was. Let me know in the comments if you have interviews coming up, if you already had interviews, and how your experience was. I'm wishing you I'm wishing you guys the best of luck on the spring semester. If you haven't yet hit the like button, go ahead and hit that like button. Go ahead and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you get notified every single time I upload. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.